And yeah, this is just a bit after midnight, so unfortunately I couldn't catch the time to do a stream yesterday. But yeah, I just finished the Blitz, and I think it's about time, honestly, that I had a suboptimal tournament. So it actually started extremely well. I won my first game against an unrated, which was a good warm up. And the next round, I managed to choke a king knight and a king bishop and 5 pawns against king knight and 2, against like an almost 2300. And I managed to, and I drew that. I almost flagged even, which would have been absolutely horrendous. So I was on 1.5, and then I played an IM who was like I think close to 2400, and I beat him. And this was a really nice game. Not only did I play well though, but I also got some luck in the sense that he played a move which was a blunder, and he made this huge reaction, right? And there's all the chance in the world that I could have missed the move, but yeah, with his reaction, then I just won a piece, and then he just resigned in a losing endgame. But I still thought that I would have to work hard to win it. But I guess he was just convinced that I would be able to win it, so he just resigned. So I was on 2.5 out of 3, and I then played Camille Plichter, the chessable author, and I played c3, and it goes c3, g6, d4, bishop g7, e4. And he plays d5, I play e5, and we get this like weird position where I get a good position, but it's not my style, right? But I managed to play it well, and he makes a small slip up, and I actually go a pawn up. But he gets a lot of counterplay as he's a strong player, and I lose the pawn. And then we're playing this endgame, and I end up hanging a queen. So it was like queen and bishop against like queen and knight or something, and I had the knight, and I was slightly better, I think. But yeah, it was rough. So I lost round 4, and then round 5, I think I just got badly outplayed. Yeah, and I lost that. And then round 6, I managed to win. So I was on like 3.5 out of 6, but I could tell that like I was feeling quite exhausted. And I think like this was like an online blitz session or something, or rapid session, whatever. I'd 100% stop, I think, because I could feel it. Like I was just feeling a bit sloppy, not seeing as much and stuff. And I basically proceeded to lose the rest, including losing. I drew 1 1700 and lost to another 1700, but lost the rest. And it's a shame because like I think at that point on 3.5 out of 6, I was like plus 30 or something. And by the end, I'm only on plus 2. And I had some aspirations to try and reach 2000. So of course, these aspirations are completely stupid, and I shouldn't even have them. But yeah, like I had like 2 blitz events to try and make 2000. And yeah, like I'm 50 points away, right? So getting like plus 25 and then another plus 25 is the way to do it. But instead, like, yeah, I just completely choked for the rest of the tournament and lost a bunch. But I mean, honestly, it's probably a good thing. In the sense that like honestly, like 3 rounds in, having just like beat like the IM, and like was very close to beating this 2280 guy, I was thinking like, am I the shit? Like am I making a mistake by like traveling Asia and taking a bit of a break from chess and stuff? Like should I just grind out some more months? But nah, in the end, like I'm losing to 1700s. But actually, like, I did learn some stuff from the Blitz. Like I had a couple times where I spoke to the opponent after. Actually, Camille Plichter gave me a really nice compliment. He said, like, he as soon as I played 1c3, he said, like, he remembered who I was, and he had seen this, like, course. And he said that actually, like, he has a lot of respect for people who are trying to, come up with something new and creative, right? So that was a really nice conversation with Camille. He was like, he was stressed because, if he lost the game, then, he'd never hear the end of it. And like, he was like, for sure you'd make a post on Twitter about it. I was like, yeah, absolutely, I would. It was a good job that I blundered my queen against him. Otherwise, yeah, he'd be the laughing stock having lost the 1c3. But I was close. I was really close. And I mean, out of the opening, okay, I'm a pawn up, so really the c3 didn't fail me there. But yeah, like, yeah, and then I also learned like something about a line in the Benoni, which I fall for quite a lot. I didn't fall for it as badly, and I got a decent game, but unfortunately, yeah, he was a strong player and grinded me out. But yeah, I learned something in this line, and I'll remember it for next time. So that's good. And then actually, the last game against this Turkish kid, I was basically pressing the whole game, and basically it reached a position where my beautiful passed pawn on the 7th rank, like if you can imagine, I had a pawn and a rook's pawn on the 7th rank. My opponent's rook was trapped in the corner because I had a bishop protected by that pawn on the 7th rank, and so the rook's stuck in the corner. So I had this like really dominant position, but I just completely choked it and allowed him to untangle. And yeah, the motif that I needed to find in order to win that was a really nice motif. So I think like if I get that opportunity to find it again, I don't think I'm missing it. Like it's got some good emotional memory now. And also, yeah, it was such a shame as well. Like the clock ran out of charge, like right near the end when it was critical, and then the dad who was like watching over the Turkish kid's like shoulder was like starting like shouting at me about what was the time, and like I need to focus on the position, but I can't even focus. Like it was just a mess, and then I ended up like choking the rook end game and losing. But yeah, I mean, just on the whole, like yeah, it feels like a shame because I feel like there was a good chance to get 2000, but on the other hand, like okay, I'll just have to get back to 2000 in classical, right? Like I've got these two tournaments, and yeah, it's not a big deal, and yeah, I shouldn't be so fixated on the rating. And ultimately, at the end of the day, okay, like I've had like a really good run of tournaments, and it's about time like one didn't go completely my way. And yeah, I mean, I learned something from the games, so this is and I got a win against an IM and a compliment from Camille. So like I shouldn't be so harsh on the experience. Yeah, I guess like you start getting greedy, right? You have a few good tournaments and you think you have a shit, and then like yeah, this this happens. But yeah, I guess that's chess, right? That's chess. Welcome to Spacey and welcome Frizz. Sorry for not acknowledging you guys earlier. I hit my previous ELO ceiling before taking a break from the game, but now I'm actually motivated to work past that in progress. Nice. I got to say a lot of that motivation due to this channel. Thank you, Spacey. Really appreciate that comment, and I'm glad like this channel is motivating you, and I hope you cross that ceiling. Like if you don't mind sharing, like what is that ceiling? How far are you from it? Like yeah, what are you working on to get there? I mean, like these comments, I'm sure like the other viewers would appreciate too, because I'm sure there are other people in a similar situation. The I Am Slayer. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, it depends how you look at it, right? I Am Slayer or 1700 choker. Like and I guess that's chess. That's chess, right? Like that's why I'm like a 1900. I can have a good game, I can have a bad game, and good players aren't having so many bad games. But yeah, it's just an interesting nature of like these over the board tournaments that there's kind of like this stigma against withdrawing. And I actually had like my round 7 game, like my opponent just straight up didn't show up, so he didn't even withdraw, he just didn't show up, and that was it. So I just got a free win, which wasn't I would have liked to play, right? But yeah, I mean, like if I could see, like it's the classic like highest rule, right? Like you want to quit while you're ahead, and not like risk it all. And yeah, you can't really, right? Because there's a stigma against withdrawing in over the board. But yeah, it's an interesting one, and yeah, ultimately learned a lot. And actually, the night is not over because my flatmate and friend Eric has a game tomorrow at 10 a.m. because he's playing classical, and I'm gonna try and help him prepare just a little bit before sleep. Aha, your ceiling is 775, so basically okay. And how far from it are you right now? I feel like my strong aspect in chess is tactics, but I lack in strategical understanding. Do you think I should double down on tactics or fix my lack of strategical understanding? That's a good question. I think it comes down to whether you see potential in like improving your strategical understanding. Like for me, from my conversations with you, Frizz, I see absolutely no reason why you can't improve your strategical understanding. Like just from talking to you, I feel like you could. So that might be something different. Like it depends what the reason is for having a worse strategical understanding. If it's like a lack of experience, then then maybe it's something to work on. But if it's just physically like impossible to work on it, then maybe you shouldn't. And I think I found that with myself with tactics. Like I feel like out of all the chess players I know, like I've been one of the most hardworking chess players out of everyone I know. and I have worked very, very hard on my tactics, and I know definitively now that this is definitely always going to be a slightly weaker suit compared to my strategy. Like, no matter how much work. Okay, maybe, if I slave away 20 hours a day and I lock myself in a prison room and do tactics all day, then maybe I can overcome it. And I remember actually talking to a GM about this, and the GM was like, oh, like, he played me in a few games, and he was basically said, like, I can definitely overcome my tactics. But I mean, that's easy for a GM to say. Probably he's never had to like witness what it's like to actually not just get it, right? So basically, yeah. Yeah, I would say actually for us, try and read some strategy books and see how it goes. Like, if you feel like you're picking up a lot and you're actually getting it, then that's great. I don't know what to recommend for strategy. God, probably depends more on exactly which aspects of strategy that you need work on. I mean, one really, really great material, probably the one that came to my mind, was actually a modern chess course, which I attended. But actually, there were elements of it that weren't as good and weren't as. It was basically this Dejan Boykov, and it was all good, but it wasn't all on strategy. It was basically like the kind of discussion about isolated queen pawn was really, really nice, and I really appreciated all of that, and I feel much stronger in IQP positions now, like playing against them especially. But yeah, strategy. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Yeah. I've only been in chess for 2 to 3 years, so I lack experience. I don't know how to really study strategy. Right. So yeah, it's an experience thing. Oh, what to recommend? What to recommend? To be honest, I would say as a start, maybe Argaard's positional play, excelling at, maybe not the Grandmaster preparation one. It's like excelling at chess positional play. That old book, it's like early 2000s. I think it's got some really, really nice, like, strategy is all about strategy, and I think like this is like a really good start to just get an idea of like how much stronger you can play just by applying a few basic strategical principles. So I think if you do that first, then I think like yeah, it'll be good, and we can discuss this on Lichess if you want to drop me a message about it if you have any questions. But yeah, highly recommend that book, and that's something I studied in like my last year of school, and I remember really, really helping like my understanding, like just so many aspects. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the strategy in chess is still blurry to me. In my games, I mostly set traps in advance for my opponents, and they didn't see the tactics. Right, yeah, you can get fairly far that way. And actually, I've got a friend who used to like, just solely do that as well. But then he realized that, as soon as you get to stronger players and, they don't fall for your tactics, then you hit a brick wall, right? And that's where like a bit of strategical understanding will help. But yeah, I think I don't see why you can't master that. And actually then if your tactics are good and your strategy is good, then that's going to be great, right? So I'd say start with Argaard's excelling at positional chess, and then go from there if you enjoy it. Hi, could you put into words what you learned new about how to play against IQP? Nice question, Michelle, if that's how to pronounce your name, Mitchell. But yeah, okay, let me very briefly say. So basically, if you're playing against the IQP, so the IQP, for anyone who doesn't know, is isolated queen's pawn, and an isolated pawn in general is quite weak, right? So what you need to do is, first of all, you want to try and blockade it, because if you can blockade the passed pawn, then, blockade the isolated queen's pawn, then it can't move forward and try and trade itself for a non-isolated pawn, right? Which would solve their problems. So you want to blockade it. You also want to then pile pressure on it, and then you eventually want to win it. Now, of course, the other side, they want to keep pieces on the board and attack. Because like they've got this strategical weakness in the pawn structure, so they need to use the open space that the isolated queen's pawn brings, and it controls some nice central squares. Use all of those aspects to attack and try and win some material or checkmate you, right? So you need to bear this brunt, and therefore one great strategy is basically to trade pieces. But yeah, this modern chess camp did a really good job of explaining which pieces to trade and why, and like all of this stuff, right? So very briefly, basically, if you are decided against the IQP and you trade the minor pieces, this is ideal, because if you are left with just major pieces like the rooks and queens, or even just the rooks, it's very, very easy to win, because you just simply bring the pieces facing the IQP and just do a frontal attack. It's as simple as that. And basically, if you're attacking from the front and they've got an isolated pawn and they're defending from behind, basically at some point, let's imagine that the pawn, I don't know, is on d5, right? And you've got a white, let's say they got black pawn on d5, you're playing from the white side and you've got white pawn on e3, you can just push e4. And that break, basically, they can never take the e-pawn because their rooks are going to be pinned on that file. And yeah, it's going to be like you'll win the pawn and then hopefully grind out this extra pawn endgame, right? So yeah, and it was really nice from his camp because basically he was showing basically how to defend these endgames down a pawn, right? So basically, if you happen to be an isolated queen's pawn player, then it's very important to know how to try your best to defend down a pawn rook endgames because, yeah, in a lot of cases, you know, if it goes wrong, you will lose the pawn and then, you know, you still want to give it a good fighting effort. So lots of really, really nice examples, lots of really nice explanations. And okay, like this was a very, very short and sweet explanation. But yeah, it's nice. Argot is great. Oh, wow, read that book. Thanks. Awesome, awesome. The problem with playing only with tactics is that in longer time formats, they see the trap. Yeah, so it's going to work better in Blitz for sure. Against knight QP, we should block it with a knight. Yeah, so that's the other thing. Talking about which piece to block with is very important. You want to basically use a piece that still has lots and lots of like control over the board. So like a knight is great. It controls lots of squares. Whereas let's say, I don't know, a rook, you know, the rook loses 1/4 of its potential, right? Because it can't go through the isolated pawn. So yeah, some pieces are better than others with blockading. Probably the queen is the worst blockader because the queen can be easily attacked, and then if your blockading piece gets attacked and it moves, then the IQB can move, right? So yeah. Okay, at least I have a little strategic understanding. Yeah, it's all a journey, right? Like I also still feel like there are many aspects which I don't know, but I feel like one thing you can actually do to kind of sidestep a lot of this kind of understanding is basically choose openings that are very, very unique and basically understand the strategy within that. So for instance, for a long time, my strategy sucked, but I played a Benoni and I understood the Benoni. So it doesn't matter that my strategy sucks because my strategy for Benoni is good. So you can basically limit the kind of like understanding you need if you just learn it for like one type of position and get that position every game. So I would highly recommend doing that as well, especially when you're lower rated, because then it cuts your workload and you're not losing as much. And it still benefits me, right? Like I've had some great games with Benoni, like especially yesterday in the Rapid, like it was like, yeah, really like managed to hold my own against a 2300 in the most like critical lineup of Benoni. So that's awesome, right? Daniel Naroditsky is a nice video on how to play against IQB. Yeah, Daniel Naroditsky, like if you guys want some understanding of like strategy or any chess stuff, actually just watch his videos. Like that's so good. So good. Yeah, tough tournament. It'll go better next time. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, clearly it was Stephen's presence that was resulting in me playing some great chess. He was there for like the first half. As soon as he left, then yeah, my chess went terribly. So clearly I'm going to blame Stephen for everything. Welcome, Josh, to the stream. Yeah, I was just basically updating you guys about my Blitz tournament and how like it started off really great. Beaten IM was like, you know, storming and then ended on a loss against the 1700. So yeah, very difficult tournament. But yeah, you live, you learn some new things. And yeah, I beat an IM 23 like 60, 23 70. It was a really, really nice game. Yeah, nice trophy. Indeed. Yeah. Well, I'm just basically going to have to have the tournament of my life tomorrow. And maybe I'll actually follow the ratings on chess results and see if I cross 2000, then I'll withdraw. Like, but it's probably not going to happen, right? Gaining 50 points in the tournament, like it's so difficult. It's so difficult. Much easier would have been 25 and 25. But hey, it doesn't matter. Okay. On this note, I'm going to go help Eric prepare, give him some motivation. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And I guess see you tomorrow. Adios.